Hello, Shadaf. What are you building?
Hello, chat. To see you. We are building a protocol for discovery. It's intent-driven. It surfaces people who share mutual intent. And we say very soon, instead of you go to search engines, you pick what you search or you specify what you are looking for. We say very soon there will be these agents. They will be working in background and they will connect you people who share mutual intent. Right? They say, right? What can they say? For example, they can say, hey, you should invest in this company. You should work with this person. 5 of you, maybe you should launch a community together, right? They simply engineer social interactions. And all of these are happening based on mutual intent. They're sleeping, they're creating background, but whenever there's a mutual intent, these agents are connecting people. And we are building a privacy-preserving decentralized protocol for discovery.
Okay, so you and I know each other for a year or so, a little more than a year. And we have some knowledge through our communication about the things we're interested in and what each other's intents may be. Maybe you can talk about some specific intents that you and I might have that we could also share that this might connect them with, so that people understand like how intent and discovery work together.
Yep, of course. Intents are basically describes what we want, right? Let's say I am curious about New York's population, right? That's also an intent. It's an information-seeking intent, right? Like your represents your relationship with search engines. Or there are most famous financial intents. You say, I want to buy this currency, a thing, and I am willing to pay this amount, right? This declaratively you state what you're willing to transact. So that's a different intent. Or
like I'm willing to buy Bitcoin at $115,000 right now in the quantity of one. Yes. And so the difference is like, in this case, it's a declaration of intent versus me going and do the action of like looking through all the exchanges in that example, looking for a match, finding the best one, and then clicking purchase at the time.
Correct. Yes. So this is like I shared information seeking intents, financial intents. So what we are focusing in Index, these are social intents, right? Connecting, looking for other people. So that's what we are focusing on. So there are many intents. Every interaction, every thought, every human agency can be guided, can be directed by intent. Intents are the driving graph and carries the value. Like these are mostly abstract. But the second change in intents, there are intents in structural, in like financial. I want to sell X and want to buy Y, right? Like these are structural things. And there are unstructural intents. I am curious about New York. That's a very vague, ambiguous intent. So there are different. So these unstructured intents just made possible with large language models. Previously, we couldn't process these intents. And we had to use these domain-specific search engines, right? In dating apps, we had filters because we couldn't process your ambiguous needs. So now you can basically tell what you're looking for, what we call this intents. And now we have large language models. We can process, we can route them better, we can connect them better. We can basically automate the whole social engineering space.
So we can convert raw text into meaningful desire for something to happen.
That's a great phrase. Yeah, that's a great phrase. Yeah, I like it.
So in the past, like, when Google was created as the most obvious stupid example, of course, it was not intent driven. It serves one purpose, or it served one purpose at the time. And that is, I want to find documents on the web that match these keywords. And then, of course, it was smarter than just keywords. It uses vectors and, finds related topics and such. But in the past, there has not been a way to say, I want to buy the cheapest possible first class ticket to Puerto Rico, because there was no way to parse that. Yes, okay. And so that's the difference between the new world and the old world, is the fact that you can declare the actual semantic thing that you're looking for, whether it's a person with similar interests or a financial transaction or a piece of knowledge. And then because of LLMs, it is now possible in a way that wasn't possible 3 years ago to actually extract meaningful value out of that text that then something could go act on. And this is the difference now, that it's possible to build something smart enough to act on our intents, and it's also possible to build something smart enough to extract our intents.
Absolutely, that's a great phrasing. I know you've been also curious and exploring ideas about understanding user-centric or more personal ways of discovering or experiencing information. So, but we've been trying, like I was trying like for the last 10 years by reading all semantic web papers and all of it. I know you were also reading and building these systems, but I personally didn't know it was impossible. You know, like we were just exploring different ways to make it happen, but we just needed LLMs to, make it real. That was
well, one of the differences
surprising.
is when you were exploring it, we all knew it was impossible, and when I was exploring it, we didn't. Although I still think it's not impossible. Like the semantic web, I was thinking about this earlier today. I kind of still miss the promise of the semantic web, even given the fact that the LLM explosion is making it less and less relevant. And of course, folksonomies and taxonomies on the web and all that sort of stuff back then. I'm on a tangent now that I shouldn't be on. But I think it's more like Baroque and naive, the semantic web. It's a very engineering driven approach to like, let us now taxonomize and create ontologies out of everything in a hierarchical sense that can work for every human mind, as opposed to like embracing the messiness of human interaction, especially via text and video or image.
And you feel that naive and Baroque, right? I share you. I feel you. That's definitely correct. There is no singular architecture or model or ontology that's correct or scalable or applicable to human ambiguity, right? So that's why we need to build these systems are carefully and with minimum design. So happy to share, like maybe if the topic comes to the design principles we're following in Index, but yeah, like we also see the relevant tension there. I agree.
Cool. So you talked about financial intent, and people who follow Web3 will hear this word all the time, intent, and probably make the wrong assumption about what Index is doing. But in fact, it is conceptually the same thing. Financial intent, information intent, here you're talking about social intent. So that powers discovery. And what you're saying is you're building a protocol that allows people to express the thing, whatever it is they're wanting. And it's many different things, probably across multiple personas that each of us have. Like I'm a musician and a software developer and an investor. Everyone has these sort of hyphenated personalities. So it creates a batch of these things across the different personas. And then somehow agents will see these things and pick them up and work to help fulfill them for you in a decentralized, privacy-preserving fashion.
Yes. So, yes, correct. And that way, right, you're basically sharing your intents with agents with complete privacy. So that means you're not going to search engines. You just share what you're looking for. Maybe you are looking for 1,000 things. Maybe agents are trying to understand what you are looking for, and implicitly they infer what you are looking for, or sometimes you just say what you are looking for. So all of them together, when you own your intents and when you share your intents with these agents, and then that means you're not going to search engines. These search engines comes to you, right? We are flipping the game. Like the game is now user-centric. So the incentive alignment is now, that means we can reprogram in user-centric way, or the quality metrics we can program user-centric way. We can experience is now more cohesive, because like all your intents are now can be fulfilled together, Previously, you had to use different tools, so you couldn't connect. We've been trying to looking for these ways. So looks like intent is the core primitive to user-centric experience. That's how it looks like. Maybe I can share.
It's kind of obvious too when you say it out loud, because you think, well, of course, the core primitive could be what is the user wanting to do all the time, right?
Yeah.
But there hasn't been. So just like one clarification, you talked about domain-specific search engines. So it used to be you'd have to go to this domain-specific search engine and that one, and you'd have to then execute on your own intent without it understanding what that is, because you're a user of that as a tool. And you include in search engines not the obvious things like Google and Bing, but also dating applications and probably all manner of other, like I never thought of dating applications as a search engine. Of course, I never actually used one either, but had I'm not sure I would have thought of it that way, because the way they work is all this sort of like matching thing, right? Swiping or whatever the thing is now. So yeah, okay, that's making sense now. So it's, I want to do a thing, or I want to meet a person, or I have an interest that other people might share, but I don't need to go to a specific destination to figure it out. It's more that the destination becomes a thing that is represented by an agent that is hopefully doing the best job. Like Google might still do the best job of finding things on the web.
Why not?
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate if they plug them as agents. Yeah. I'm curious, like, what was your thoughts when intent paradigm changed in DeFi? You know, like we had different bridges for different destinations. Then in DeFi, we had this declarative chains or networks. Then 10 times bigger, better UX and less friction for users, then thinner clients, like the front ends get thinner, and then value capture is decentralized. So I'm curious, like your personal opinion, like now we are approaching to non-financial intents, how it looks like from your perspective.
I think the levels of abstraction have always been raising in information technology since we started. So like this is an unlikely comparison that I would make, but in a sense, intents in DeFi and intents in internet search are the same as declarative programming paradigms in software development. Where, you know, when I started writing software in the 90s, you know, first times in the 80s, but I was a kid just learning stuff. It's all about learning the steps of the program, the steps the program has to take. Your brain almost has to mirror the program counter. I mean, literally in BASIC, you would put 10, print hello world, 20, go to 10. You know, even the steps were numbered and they were the primitive thing. And the higher you go, like in today's world, well, in today's world with LLMs, the intent is make me a website and make sure it has all the information about me on the internet on it, you know, which I literally have done for my website. And that's good because I had a black and white website with bulleted list for years. Now I have something appropriately hideous for my personality. But anyway, I'm too long-winded today. I apologize. I'm talking too much, but
please.
My reaction on DeFi and on this stuff is twofold. One, the level of abstraction should raise. Two, when it does raise, it gives the system underneath more capability and more degrees of freedom to solve the problem that the user is trying to solve in the most efficient, effective, creative, or even inefficient and terrible way, depending on what happens, right?
Yeah,
so, you know, I think that's an interesting thing about DeFi is it both makes the user interface better, and DeFi meaning decentralized finance. So like this idea of buying a token, swapping tokens or swapping currencies without having to go to an exchange makes the user experience better because you're just expressing your wish and it's getting taken care of. But it also probably gets you a better trade and a better rate. So it's both easier for the user and more effective for the user. And I think that's usually the case as levels of abstraction raise. Most users will first say, oh, but I want control, but it's just because they're used to it. And once you're willing to give up control, then you get a better experience that works on your behalf.
Yep. Hopefully, intent-driven paradigm will change systemic problems in information discovery. Like that, I agree with you. There has to be marginal benefit for the user. and hopefully in the beginning too, not like at the end of today everything will be good kind of thing, but immediate user value should be also possible. These are not only like adoption is most of the time is a bigger problem than the building the protocol. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, from the another angle, like let's say spam or trust problems or cost problems or in advertising low relevancy problems, we are paying 50% of like the advertising, the most of the revenue comes from it, and it's what we are selling with 1% click rate and then 1% conversion rate. That makes out of 10,000, right? It's only valuable. So that means 9,009. This thing goes to waste. Like all attention, all the publishing and everything, all the targeting, all the data usage. So this model is basically what's delivering irrelevancy, not expensive price, and still there is no personalization. It's like a user. So we think it's just that's all domain specific paradigm. It's come to limits, and AI now demands like it's also like intents are AI native. Like whatever all your interaction with LLMs, these are user centric because like you are using natural language.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very soon I think we believe we are building that. This will be the intent-driven paradigm will change the marketing technology. Like the whole thousands of companies are building things in behavioral or segmentation and all of it. They will be transforming to more user-friendly, user-centric way. Hopefully, Index is the first protocol. Happy to share architecturally or maybe show you a demo.
I think we should look at a demo because it's too easy to get very abstract talking about protocols and intent and discovery. So, how does it manifest itself?
All right.
I think I will have to help share the screen here in the software.
Let me share my screen. All right. I think you should be able to see my screen.
Perfect.
All right. So people also see. All right, perfect. So we built this interface you can think as similar to Stripe dashboard as a catch-all no-code tool to manage, show how we organize information, how protocol works, how just it's a developer tool. So how it works. I am creating a index. I will share what it means. But this is let's say a folder, and I'm adding my files to this folder. Let me pick just one example. Yes. So now if I add my files, autonomous agents are reading my files and finding intents, what I might be looking for. Right? They are inferring, not explicitly, but they are inferring what I might be looking for. So these intents are privacy-aware statements. Each intent says, I'm looking for this because of this, just based on unstructured discovery statements. So after
just
you have
to set the context, just to make sure I understand what this tool is doing, like you called this index Blue Yard. I assume, are you operating as the persona of Sheriff, who has a startup called Index Network, and this is the viewer thing? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Then, right, I have my intents, and personally, I have many intents. Right, these are inferred by different agents. Right, I am interested in avant-garde jazz music. This is a mutual intent, you and me, and you have many different intents that represents different perspectives of our personality. Then I go to inbox, and what I see, it's loading. An agent is suggesting me to connect with Brian because we have two mutual intents. So this is not like LinkedIn. You see people's profile. You see people based on you because you have mutual intents. So from one perspective, this is personalized discovery. From another perspective, this is agent-driven social because agents are connecting people and you see why you are relevant. Or right? Since these intents are privacy-aware statements, from another perspective, this is explainable privacy. So it depends which perspective of your context is useful. But what you see, the mutual intents, gives you how you are being exposed and why you are discovering other people. That's we think intent is the user-centric personalization primitive. Intent is the new discovery primitive, and how it is the first example how we translate into user experience.
Cool. So on the place where you were creating the index, you uploaded your, I guess that was your fundraising deck, probably from when you were raising money, and that got all of your information out, and it figured out, based on some agent that is using an LLM in the background, it figured out that these are the things you might be interested in doing on the network, which is that list of intents. Automatically added the intents, and then you have the ability to remove them, to say, no, I don't really want to be matched with other people who have compatible intents, right? Are they, is the other people exact matches? Like, is there some intent canonicalization? Or is it like you're both interested in this like privacy preserving AI thing, and it's represented in different fuzzy ways, but because of LLMs, it doesn't have to be exact matches? I guess it probably uses vectors.
Good question. Fuzziness and what it means, mutual intents. Of course, in the beginning, protocol will be a bit lows, kind of will lower the threshold in order to increase user experience in the beginning. But eventually, index will be relevant over time, more relevant over time, because more people will have more particular sophisticated intents. So you will be able to connect with maybe love of your life, or maybe the best friend, or maybe like two companies should partner together. So with more people, we get more relevant over time. Like what is different in previous domain-specific information tools, they get more spammy and more irrelevant over time, right? Like because like they get noisy. That's what their characteristic. But in index, when you flip the window in user-centric way, relevancy is compounding. That's the opportunity there. So, but of course, in the beginning, it will be lows. It will be a bit flexible, but over time will be very particular, like very strict for connecting intents. And to answer your question, for connecting intents, it's subjective to the agents. Different agents might interpret different connections. Maybe a doctor and a patient agent will approach from different perspective and connecting different intents. Or founder matching agents will be connecting different intents, and they might not share same decision, but index allows them to basically collaborate and compete for user relevancy, work for the user in better way. That's basically decentralized technologies I'm providing.
I see. So it could be that the agent first even just filters things out that don't seem relevant to it because it's not good at making those matches. Okay, so can I ask you a question? When you, on the index page, you uploaded your deck, it got all the intents out. Is that deck now somewhere sitting on a public server, or like what's the privacy situation there? Because I see that like automatically mining intents out of data is a very powerful idea. And, you know, I'm always talking about how if it were possible to have, well, we have that nice screen. If it were possible to have an agent that could just like read my thoughts and my biometric indicators and every email, if I could trust it, then it could extract all of my intents out and it could do everything that I want it to do. But I don't trust any agent that's running in a cloud by a traditional company, because we saw the ad metrics that you were talking about before. We saw the trash that gets generated with the centralized advertising based model. So like, what's the story there? Is there a way to share private data without sharing the data? I'll stop talking and wait for you to answer.
That's definitely a great question, and also we need different paradigms to approach to this question, right? Like, for example, usually we ask for privacy guarantees, but first, let me answer your question first, then maybe like we can riff on it.
And
So,
let's start with the demo, the product and the demo, like specifically. Are you sharing a file publicly? Is there a way to share files privately to like generate the intents for the network without sharing the actual data? How does that work? And also, I think I kind of jumped into details. This application that you're talking about, like the underlying assumption that I have looking at it is there are many people in this application that are therefore part of the protocol, and they're also uploading files and doing things to create intents, maybe manually, so that they can match with you, right? So yeah, I didn't actually let you say what the application is before the demo. Sorry.
First application, like we are building the protocol, and on the top of protocol, we are building these components and experiences. For example, there's a vibe check component. It shows one-to-one intent mutuality, that you can share your vibe check link based on your intents. For example, intros, or when you meet with someone, you can send your intent bucket, and other person can also upload their files and see like how we are aligned. For example, in business development or in sales, or when a co-founder wants to pitch, upload your deck, so you can see like how you do vibe check. That's one component. Or second, we have a component called match list. It's basically one-to-many. It shows many people's intents and your intents. So it checks like how you are compatible with a team or with a network ecosystem or a community. Like so using Index, a community or ecosystem can use can upload their files with complete privacy. That's I'm going to explain quickly, and be discoverable with their own terms. They can enable private discovery networks. They can collaborate better by connecting these intents into the Slack or Discord channels, right? Agents can infer these intents. Basically, Index lets you own your own discovery potential and build and use this ready-to-use experiments, like one-click agent deploy to Slack. That's how we think about the product. Of course, maybe another person wants to build a dating app earlier. We always appreciate, curious about these ideas. But yeah, that's how we think about the product.
So the one-to-many thing, what would be an example of a community that would want to use this? Like, it sounds like you're talking about communities that want to attract members from the outside of the community, and it would be a way for someone to understand whether they're compatible and would want to join it. So like, I don't know, online clubs. You mentioned Discord, so I know there are tons of online Discord communities. Is that the sort of thing you mean?
Definitely, there are good candidates. For example, what we are piloting with nowadays with Consensus, they're a network of companies, let's say hundreds of companies, and they will be using this agents to, let's say, 1,000 people for close community, but these are like 1,000 people. And agents will be listening their chats, and they will say, hey, you should work with this person because they already solved this problem 3 months ago. Maybe you shouldn't work on the duplicate problem. So from their perspective, that helps for future of work. And autonomous agents are finding these mutual overlaps to increase efficiency horizontally across the whole organization. That's what discovery means between closed ecosystem, large ecosystems, like when you apply it horizontally. Or for a community,
that could also apply to like a huge enterprise, like General Electric all over the world. I suppose there's no way you would ever even know every team that exists, and therefore you can't connect to other people very efficiently that are doing similar work.
But for a community, you can basically mingle people. Like these agents act as icebreakers. But we need these icebreakers. When you're relevant, they should connect you so you can increase your community synergy. So these are two examples. But when you think these communities and organizations are also composable in a user-centric way, so that's when discovery becomes user-owned. Then that's discovery becomes user-centric, and like we can basically increase users' value. Just by connecting private discovery and public discovery. Whenever you are relevant, you will be there. You will have this ambient optimism. You will feel, I think opportunities will find me. I don't have to search. I don't have to put an effort. I don't have to rephrase everything. I don't have to estimate my post is going to get 10 clicks, these kind of things. This is not good. Just deliver these things to agents. They should be doing this stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess like a system like this also does things that would never have happened before. So like you highlighted that you're interested in avant-garde jazz. And as you know, I'm also interested in avant-garde jazz and I play it. And I think it was several months after we ever met that you realized that you had heard music that I'd played before, because we are interested in the same style. There's no way that would have come up in business meetings, but it has been an interesting and obscure bit of things that we have in common. So like in that view, had we had the system and we had both uploaded our intents, which there's something about privacy here that people don't think about. And that is that privacy can lead to discoverability and it can open up new doors, because I wouldn't normally bother to put my music interests into an application like LinkedIn, because we're not trying to find each other there because we both like Ornette Coleman, the musician, right? We're trying to do a specific thing because it's a domain-specific tool and domain-specific search engine. Whereas in our real lives, we actually have a better experience if the sum total of our humanity comes out in the experience of interacting, and it connects us in deeper ways. So it's an interesting insight that I think comes out of something like this, that if you can surface intents, the entire set of possible intents that a person has that can be extracted in a privacy preserving way, and then offer to surface those to each other, then we might find we have more in common than we could have known.
We could have met 5 years ago, Chad.
Yes.
Just made possible.
Semantic web and avant-garde jazz, there's probably a very small overlap there.
Yeah. That's very soon, almost there. So, and yeah, it's like, again, 2 years ago, we were thinking like it was impossible. And now it's there, it's coming, like it's not science fiction. That's what we are building. Maybe, just there's going to be a new agent communicators. Maybe, I'll share. But yeah, let me share about privacy and how we approach the privacy a little bit. So your files, what you upload, these are stored in confidential compute environments, what's being called trusted execution environment, TEEs. These are guaranteed by CPU providers like Intel or others. They say no one can see what's being executed inside the CPU, like as long as you can verify this. So they simply offer you to run this confidential compute, but in decentralized way. So how we apply in Index, we basically let autonomous agents to access your intents in permissionless way if they are running in confidential compute environments. If these agents are trusted, if they are running in confidential compute, that means the owner or the developer won't be able to see, but the agents will be able to connect people. And so that means we can delegate trust to these agents. Of course, it has different risks, and it has it's not like a silver bullet, but there's a window, there's an opportunity there. That means we can enable permissionless value creation for private data. That's a bit abstract.
And when you said owner, you meant the owner of the machine as opposed to the owner of the data. So only the owner of the data gets to decide what happens to it, like me as a person who uploads my private information. But you as the person that operates the service don't have access to what's happening in this. And this is a guarantee of the architecture of the hardware that comes from Intel or whoever. Yeah, okay.
Yes, this is the foundational data security like we are sitting on the top of it. That makes possible index, lets your intents become discoverable to different autonomous agents. But that's just the beginning. So after that, we are building a protocol, right? So that means different agents will be connecting people based on mutual intents. So then there's a, so okay, super quick, what they do, how the protocol works. So then first, maybe I can share a diagram and show through a diagram, and it will explain everything. All right, now share the diagram. It's simple, not a complex one, but shows how we approach the privacy.
You probably have to zoom in on a.
Of course.
Of course, maybe
So,
I'm just old and
yeah,
have bad eyes. But yeah.
Yeah, all good. So is it good now?
Yeah.
All right. So whenever you upload a file, we have an agent called intent inferrer, right? Agents were listening your files, reading your files. So these agents are, what they do, they strip out the sensitive, personally identifiable information from your file and generate what you are looking for, what you might be looking for. Of course, still there's a risk, but that's what they are tasked for, right? That's their focus. Then you have your intent graph. So we separated context, we isolated your file context to intent context. And then these agents running in confidential compute, what we call them context brokers, they can only access to your intents. So the first privacy mechanism we have, it's called context isolation. So the agents cannot access to your private files. It's 100% guaranteed. So we have a, like in input, we have a filter called intent infer. That's the first gate. Of course, in intent generation, there are risks. Maybe an intent might include your personally identifiable information or sensitive data, or might be inappropriate, or different risks, but these are details.
Right.
Then,
You don't want to share an intent that's like so-and-so wants to find people to physically hurt, for example.
yeah,
Or,
yeah.
I mean, maybe we want the system to share that, but not with everyone, not with potential business contacts.
Yes, correct. So yeah, that will be inappropriate. You might choose that inappropriate communication, but there shouldn't be a privacy turbulence that I will explain. What are these terms? But yeah, let's go. I think it's like, so far, it should be a bit clear. Well, let me know. So then these agents, they have access to all of users' intents, everyone's intents at the same time. And these agents, according to their perspective, right, according to their belief, maybe there's a better model, better agents, better thesis, better data. They say these two intents share a practical goal, and they're mutual. And I am skin in the game. I will explain that. That's what also connect how we make money. And I'm staking some amount of money that represents my confidence. And they say these two persons are relevant, and I'm putting $10 behind my bet. That's what they do. So
in this case, my confidence is mine as the agent that someone has programmed to go compete to help people connect.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And in second part, so these agents are sharing their reasoning, right? Why they are relevant. The second part. So then there's I'll finish the privacy here. Then maybe we can focus on staking, what it means, or appropriation, but almost there. So whenever you see right, this text, this is the output layer. Another person sees why we are relevant. So this is the output representation layer. So we have another agent there. It's called synthesis or contextual privacy. So this agent only has access to viewer's intents. So this is your the viewer user's intent and the reasoning. So this agent cannot see other person intents, but only can see other person's intents based on the relevancy. Right? I can only see what are my intents and the reasoning that connects to other person. So that's kind of what provides to us multi-user communication privacy management strategy in very simple way. We are managing the privacy, we're minimizing information, who should see what.
Cool. So can I restate from the beginning then, so I make sure I understand?
Would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So at
please.
the beginning, this private file upload, I'm taking that as a shorthand for private integration of data, however that might happen. But in the case of the demo you showed, it's literally uploading a file. But I'm putting a file, I'm putting some information that likely includes text at this point on a server that is running inside a TEE, which means that I have my own private container for the data and the compute, just for my private data that I've uploaded, just so that the intent inferer can run across that stuff. And after that point, once I've decided which intents I'm okay with sharing, so like I'm good to share all the stuff about the semantic web and privacy preserving AI, but I don't want to share the personal things that I wouldn't normally share with people at work, for example, then only the clean ones come out and they go out of the TEE into the protocol as a whole, where these context brokers, of which I'm assuming there are potentially many even context brokers that are competing with each other to do the best job of matching context. They are looking at all the world's intents, which for now would be a small amount, but eventually could be billions, trillions of intents going live at any moment. They are staking actual currency so that they can broadcast these matches like you showed in the demo, the user interface where the person matches your intents. And they're doing that in a way that they're staking it, because if they continue to do this in a way that is not valuable, then they will lose money, which is the opposite of what happens on a search engine today with an advertising model. Did I get it right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Absolutely. And yes, and yeah, maybe a few additions that I also forget these files, and you might connect your Notion, your Slack, any data source represents a file you can connect. So that means you don't have to upload, you don't have to do, agents will be inferring these intents in appropriate way.
Okay,
and the
cool.
synthesis,
you reminded me of something I want to ask before you go there. When we were talking about communities being nodes on the index network, and part of the multi-check or whatever it was, then, and you said something about connecting your Discord. What you're saying is, if you have a privacy preserving data sync for all of your information, for example, your Discord activity or your Slack activity, it could go into a TEE and it could automatically generate higher level concepts and intents from the entire organization that allows outsider individuals to potentially match to that organization.
Yes. And
that's cool.
I want to thank you for it's to make it possible. We are using claimable wallets by Privy, and there is no second technology out there to make it possible. And that's just wanted to phrase that, because these are Slack and Discord. These are not user-centric, right? These are organization-centric things. And you can basically use claimable wallets just to extend user centricity out there. So yeah, just remembered when you shared Discord and Slack, came to mind. Okay, I want to just mention the privacy second part, then maybe 3 or 5 minutes, and how we approach privacy between you and me, between users. Because so far we explained the systemic privacy, but there's a much new important part of privacy. I'm sharing my screen again. So we follow 3 important theories. The first one is called contextual integrity. And very simple theory, it's a main theory for privacy, and that says privacy is provided by appropriate flows of information. It's not about secrecy, it's not about gates, it's not binary. As long as information flows appropriately, you can consider this private. So in index, for example, everything we engineer privacy, hopefully appropriately, and that means we are discoverable, but we are still private, right? As long as it's appropriate. That's but in this environment, privacy rules are permeable. They can a bit spill. They are not 100% Boolean, but they are probabilistic. So this contextual integrity theory is basically provides foundations. On the top of it, index is a social intent graph, right? We focus on social intents. So there is a theory called communication privacy management theory, right? It's a perfect name. Another great woman, Sandra Petroino, and she says very important parts. I think you'll like it. So people believe they own the right private information. Second, but yeah, this is important. When others are told or given access, they become co-owners of this information. Co-owners negotiate mutually agreeable privacy rules about telling others, right? We negotiate. When we fail to negotiate, there's a concept called boundary turbulence. So that means like very simple theory, right? It's basically describes how agents can mediate our communication based on communication privacy management principles. Two agents, when you share your information with another agent, you become co-owners. They have to negotiate. When there's a problem, we need turbulence. So index, so these are the foundational theories, how we approach the privacy. And index, the turbulence is being, it's a user experience problem. We are working together with Seren. Seren is a designer. I am also a house designer. What is our task every day? It's about managing and engineering this communication management. How to build a better agent? Better agent is a better communicator. Or context management. It's a finding user experience in these abstract dimensions. Like if I can summarize what we do, it's about user experience every day.
Which is relevant to turbulence. And the point you're making here, I guess, like it's weird to think of what most would consider privacy breaches as just being simply boundaries being hit and turbulence, right? But that's what you're saying. It's similar to like if you and I get together in person and the entire time we're talking, I'm recording the conversation so I can send it to an AI to make notes. It's probably not cool that I did that without asking you, without negotiating it with you first. And then the information flow is primarily that it went to some service that you didn't explicitly say, yes, I'm okay with that service having this raw conversation about, that I participated in. Is that right?
Yes. Correct.
So in your world, you think of this as a user interface problem, and you think of it as a gradient because, and that's why the word turbulence is really interesting. It's not a breach. It's a moment where something didn't go as expected from multiple parties, in the same way that turbulence in an airplane doesn't mean you die necessarily. But you could.
Yeah, you could die. Yeah. But
we have a question from LinkedIn, actually. Era Howard is asking, what about the intention to beat Harris in the election? So like it's a thing that's not actually PII, but enough of these sorts of things put together can result in something that predicts something about the individual. I'm paraphrasing the question. It's kind of long, hopefully getting it right, Era. So like, have you thought about that sort of thing? You can see my preferences, which might lead to some understanding of my intent or understanding of me that otherwise I might not want to share.
Yeah, I think I understood. The first part, index is a social tool. We expect you to put intents that you want to be discoverable. It's not about a complete confidentiality tool. So in the beginning, hopefully you should consider index similar to as a dynamics as a social network. But in everyday social network, you put these kind of things. So it shouldn't be a problem because like we already provide much better privacy. In social networks, these are public. What we offer, we call contextual privacy. We say appropriate people will be able to discover. Of course, there is the concern that shared is, I think it can be mitigated by differential privacy principles. You can apply some privacy budget or maybe attestations using Web3 technologies. There are different mitigation strategies to make political claims also discoverable, but also appropriate. But yes, that there is no silver bullet for this kind of things. Index also not immune to these privacy risks, but it simply offers an appropriate discovery channels between these parties. But this, yeah, maybe I think bring the topic from privacy to the staking currency part, because these are highly relevant. So I shared, okay, I want to show you one maybe last thing about the protocol's architecture and simply how it connects the privacy and this risk. I think you can see my screen, right, chat?
It looks like TypeScript.
All right, perfect. So agents are connecting intents, list of intents. They share their reasoning, and they say who they are, and they share staking. That this is simply summarize what we are building, the whole protocol summary. The whole protocol, it provides this, which intents are relevant and why and how much. That's
Okay.
what
And interestingly, there is a terminology thing. So you said agents have these attributes, and the name of this interface is intent stake, which means this is the primarily important piece of or set of information about an agent in Index Network. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Cool.
So, okay. So in this architecture, intents are text, they are contextual, and stakes are money, they are non-contextual, right? We have financial and non-financial, non-contextual element. So that means we can query which intents stakes how much, or we can also query are these intents are appropriate and how much appropriate financially, or that means we can measure the risk of that privacy turbulence with real money. So we are making privacy so seriously that we are thinking that means like you will know how much it worth, how much this inappropriation costs, and we are making it as a market to any agent that provides better privacy, better appropriation, better relevancy, better fulfillment, will be skin in the game and competing with others, because we'll be incentivizing inappropriation, appropriation. So like these will be financial actors. That's how we approach to privacy, essentially.
So it's similar to how, like, I'm sure there are people listening to this that are not crypto nerds. So it's similar to how like a proof of stake system works in a blockchain network. But in this case, you are staking, you're putting a financial stake on doing a good job at the thing that you say you're going to do. And good job could mean best job on the market. And it could also mean not tragically wrong job, which is sharing things that shouldn't share in the wrong context. Is that right?
Yes. So yeah, totally.
So then if I build one of these agents, I stake some money in an online economy of some sort where the stake can be taken from me, or I assume I can now benefit, I can profit from it too. Is that right?
Yes. Hopefully, different contextual dimensions, like privacy, reputation, how much I trust, how much others are trusting, or how much you can fulfill my intent, how you are relevant to me, or how it's appropriate, these are inappropriate. These are all contextual sentences, and index will be the underlying financial connection between these questions. So that means we'll be able to measure, then mitigate. So in order to mitigate, you should be able to measure. So the privacy risk should be a financial assets. That's also like connects to bigger trend. It's called financialization of language. It's like, we think it's a mega trend that the information world needs. So intensity, we think, as first primitive, is the driving primitive that leads this connection.
Cool. Yeah, I've been thinking for quite some time that if we had staking in email, then we wouldn't have spam. If we did, it would be like really expensive spam to send.
Yeah. Spam will die because of it should be expensive, not with moderation, right?
Right. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that's kind of end goal in Index, but yeah. So I was you also heard new, like how we approach the privacy. That was also kind of new. But yeah, all these new things will be new financial instruments for our communication. And I'm pretty excited as a child. Like that's.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I mean, can we look at the user interface again? I know it's just one app on the protocol, but
Of course.
I'm reflecting and realizing it does a really good job of showing what this means. So I have to share it. Yeah.
Of course.
So like here you have like this person, Brian, that you maybe wouldn't have known otherwise. And you see you have these things in common because Brian is uploading private files. However, in the, I guess it was on the indexes tab where you had like Slack and Discord and all these things. They're grayed out because they're coming soon.
Yes.
Yeah. So connect all of your personal data when at the point when you trust this TEE based system, which means either there's some sort of attestation thing that happens, or it's a decentralized network, which includes more than just attestation. It includes staking and slashing and everything. So you trust the system and not the humans that have to run it. You can then upload progressively more and more things into it, automatically, ambiently. Your calendar, those are the things that I'm looking at and thinking, that's what I want to connect to a system like this. And then it's just automatically extracting the things you're trying to do. And automatically, once you've said that's okay, connecting you with other humans and groups of humans that share those interests and offer you to connect to them. Extremely powerful when you get all this stuff connected together. Like we could find out that you're already good at 3D printing. So my new hobby from the weekend, I can ask you about when we get off, but I don't know if that's true and it wouldn't have come up. And also connect people who have niche interests so that they could work together or be friends, or like it's a general, I'm seeing it's a very general purpose thing. It also, we talked about advertising in the beginning, and people don't normally think about matching human to human as an advertising sort of motion. But in effect, it is, because advertising is a take on discovery. It's a financially driven take on discovery, where the person trying to sell a good or service is trying to make sure people who would want to see it know about it. And they're spending way too much money trying to do that because they have to reach too many people. The same is true of dating. And the same is true of like meeting humans to hang out with. Turns out it's all advertising, or it's all like some version of what advertising is, which, oh, surprise, surprise, is discovery, which is what this topic is. So, okay, I have finally caught up.
We got good phrase maybe a couple of days ago. Advertising is when you stake on yourself. It's like when it's like, but it's all about declaring what is important. So any agent can connect other people's intents in Index. But when you stake on yourself, that's usually advertising, right? Like when you say, I'm good. So yeah, we balance with kind of double opt-in, Index incentivize. So you can say it is as good, but other person has to say yes as well. So like double opt-in, incentivize relevancy in Index. But yeah, we welcome any agent that says that person is good.
Cool. So a takeaway for me, and of course it was going to be a takeaway no matter what you said, is privacy gives you superpowers. Privacy isn't just about hiding information, but it's also about being able to use your most valuable or personal information to make things better for you and for others. And this is a really interesting manifestation of that. So finally, then, I will ask you, what are you doing in public? Like, can people use this thing you're showing today? I think you said it was in use with consensus or coming up in use. Who should know, like who should be trying to use this service and for what? And also then how can they contribute, because it's all open source from what I understand.
Yep.
Or at least there's a
open
developer.
Source. Yes. you're a developer, please hack it. Try to help us in any way. We appreciate any support on that one, especially in generative experiences layer, like future of work, or smart contract layer on the, like one layer down. So yeah, we appreciate any connection there. But if you're even an individual or as a team or an ecosystem manager or responsible person, like a network, Index, we are building Index firstly for you. Please sign up on website. Just send an email. We'll be reaching out to you. Happy to share more Index. Happy to solve discovery for your own network, for your own community first. In the beginning, it will be closed because we are testing, we are playing and figuring out. But very soon it will be public. We are making super hard to make it public.
All right, cool. I want that, and then I also want to share my vibe check link with everyone in Twitter and find new friends.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Chef.
Thank you. Really enjoyed. That was awesome.